Thank you very much, Puan Suhaila, for your most gracious opening remarks. Gentlemen, hosting the ACIIA Conference 2025 in Kuala Lumpur has meant that this event has drawn together over 1,500 delegates from 26 countries to offer a diversified networking and learning experience for all our participants. We warmly welcome Mr. Manoj Agarwal, the President of ACIIA, and invite him now to deliver his welcome address. A round of applause, please.
The Honorable Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia, the Honorable Datuk Wan Suraya Wan Muhammad Radzi, Auditor General of Malaysia, Suhaila Muhammad Abdullah, President IA Malaysia, distinguished guests, speakers, sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. As the President of Asian Confederation of Institute of Internal Auditors, ACIIA, I am deeply honored to welcome you to this august gathering of more than 1,500 guests from more than 26 countries with a purpose of mind and mission. We live in an age where the challenges we face are global, interconnected, and persistent. Our theme today, internal audit in a poly-crisis era, is not only timely, it is essential. Across our 19 member countries, internal auditors play a central role in elevating governance, reinforcing public trust, and enabling responsible business. This conference is a testament to that regional collaboration and to IIA Malaysia's unwavering leadership in convening it. Let us use this opportunity to explore new tools, exchange best practices, and build shared framework for a better governed Asia. I want to thank IA Malaysia, who is hosting this year's ACI conference, and I wish them a successful one. Thank you, and I wish all delegates a productive and engaging conference. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manoj Agarwal, and we hope you enjoy your time here in Kuala Lumpur. Ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly both my privilege and honor to now invite Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia, to deliver his keynote address and thereafter officiate the opening of this conference. Please welcome Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Datuk Seri Suraya, Puan Suhaila, Manoj daripada ACIIA, pimpinan IA, rakan-rakan dari Bursa dan Suruhanjaya Security, dan rakan-rakan yang saya muliakan, saya kira tidak perlu dipanjangkan atau tekankan keperluan audit dan audit dalaman dalam mana-mana sistem pentadbiran negara jika kita serius dalam menyelesaikan di antara permasalahan besar, cabaran besar, iaitu ketirisan, keterlanjuran, rasuah dan isu-isu yang terkait dengan tata kelola atau governance. Sebab itu saya, seperti mana Datuk Seri Suraya tahu, memberikan ruang dan wewenang seluas mungkin supaya jentera kerajaan diawasi dan dipantau dari dekat. Dan ini harus mendapat kerjasama sepenuhnya dengan Bursa dan juga Suruhanjaya Security dan syarikat swasta. Kita bicara tentang perlunya kita pacu pertumbuhan. Tetapi dalam mana-mana negara dengan kekuatan ekonomi tidak mungkin dapat menyelesaikan masalah sekiranya dibiarkan keterlanjuran dari segi ketirisan dan juga rasuah penyelewengan yang terus berlaku. Dan dalam sejarah negara mana-mana pun paling sukar untuk menangani masalah ini kerana mereka sendiri punya kekuatan dan dana dan pengaruh. Tetapi saya ucap terima kasih dan penghargaan kepada rakan-rakan kerana mereka tunjukkan sikap dan keberanian dan ketegasan membersihkan jentera sama ada kerajaan atau syarikat-syarikat kerajaan dan swasta daripada kebiasaan melanggar peraturan ini. It's therefore my profound pleasure to welcome to Kuala Lumpur the Asian Confederation of Institutes of Internal Auditors Conference. Now, this gathering is, as I am made to understand, Manoj, if correct me if I'm wrong, that is unique, is the largest of its kind in Asia, because we have 1,500, not only just auditors and internal auditors and practitioners from 26 countries, but have shown such commitment. As I've said, referred to in Bahasa, in my introduction, the issue of governance is a major challenge. We talk about democracy, but we don't refer to democratic accountability. Democracy is just not about elections. Leadership is not about crafting a plan, but to make sure it is totally accountable to the public, and for those believers, finally answerable to the Almighty. That's why I think in the Muslim tradition, one of the most profound traditions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a saying that we are all accountable. We cannot escape that accountability. Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyati. That you are responsible and accountable. You are trained from the very young age about accountability. Of course, to yourself, to the family, to your department, to your company, and ultimately to the Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which means the inculcation of the correct values of integrity that comes along with transparency, which require, therefore, a clear, responsible auditors and internal auditors with well-trained and accountable, with integrity. So the challenges before us are many, and they may well strike all at once. We talk about pandemics or economic uncertainty or technological disruption, but notwithstanding, whether the government is stable or rich, the issue of accountability, the role of accountants and internal auditors is paramount. We have seen in the past notable, prominent audit or companies or rating agencies under scrutiny because the lack of integrity, the complicity with the excesses, purely because of greed. And as we have experienced in many of the financial scandals in the past, including the infamous 1MDB, it could not have happened without the complicity of auditors, internal auditors, and international financial institutions. We must take this as a challenge and save our society and nations from these transgressions. So we have therefore to understand what a systems oversight is all about. The need to act, prevail with transparency, accountability, and trust. Because these are the foundations that allow institutions to endure, particularly when tested. Now, the issue of checks and balances is not optional. One of the key players, of course, the auditors and internal auditors, predicated upon their capability and integrity. Now, James Madison, sure you're familiar, reminded us more than 2 centuries ago, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, or women over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and the next place oblige it to control itself. Now, a profound statement by one of the founders of the President of the United States of America, James Madison. But what's relevant today in this context is that accountability must remain the core pillar in order to ensure the practice of a responsible, incorruptible government. Now, it is in this spirit that the Madani government has pursued Malaysia's reforms. Our ambition is to move the nation closer to high income status and to build one of the world's most competitive economies. But ambition cannot endure without confidence in our institutions. Auditors in both public and private sectors are central to safeguarding that confidence. This is precisely the reason why we have to strengthen the mandate of the National Audit Department, led by, of course, the Auditor General, a tough lady, she of steel. And through the First Amendment to the Audit Act in 33 years, it may not have been a glamorous reform, but it was an essential one. We also established a serious irregularities committee to deal swiftly with critical breaches. Again, it did not make front page news, but it goes to the heart of the matter, holding offenders to account and protecting public funds. Since 2024, follow-up audits have already recovered and safeguarded 159 million ringgit. Now, earlier this year, I launched 4 new auditing guidelines extending the department's authority to any entity receiving public funds. This was not the case in the past. Government-linked companies, foundations, whatever. But once you receive public funds, you follow the public money approach that would help curb leakages and corruption. We have seen in the past, for example, foundations, civil society, welfare organizations getting full support of the government, but in the process, abuse their position to enrich the board members. And probably 10%, 20% goes to the welfare work. So again, the issue of good governance remains, to me, a central pillar, even when we introduce the 13th Malaysia Plan, our latest 5-year economic strategy for 2030. Our obsession has always been with growth, investments, and economic success. But that cannot and would not happen if we do not consider the issue of accountability, transparency. And again, here comes the role of internal auditors. I always emphasize the need for integrity because, with due respect to you all, we have seen excesses among political leaders, civil servants, even auditors. So the issue of integrity, accountability must be, again, at the core in our work. So what I'm trying to emphasize is the need to create that awareness. They call it, in my younger days, popularized by the Latin American philosopher thinker, conscientization, to get more conscionable, to be more conscious and have that dictates of our conscience. And therefore, I commend the Institute of Internal Auditors to continue this work, and the launch of the Statement of Risk Management and Internal Control, SOMIC Guide 2025 with Bursa Malaysia. It's of course a remarkable first step, because it also provides firms with a blueprint for embedding risk awareness, strengthening investor confidence, and preparing for ESG and other emerging risks. So, ladies and gentlemen, we must see governance, therefore, not as a burden, but as a strategic asset, the anchor of credibility in our markets, the magnet for investment, and the guarantee of, for progress to be shared fairly. In this age of overlapping risks, it is sound governance, again, I reiterate, sound governance, steady, trusted, and fair, that will decide whether our nations flourish or falter. Your responsibility, mine, and our responsibility, therefore, is enormous. But opportunity is greater still. To build institutions that earn trust at home, command respect abroad, hand down a legacy of integrity to the generations to come, and finally accountable to ourselves, our family, our society, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yang Amat Berhormat, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. If you could kindly remain on stage, I would now like to invite Yang Berbahagia, Datuk Seri Wan Suraya, the Auditor General of Malaysia, together with Puan Suhaila, to come on stage to accompany Datuk Seri Anwar for the official launch of the conference. It is with great pleasure that we now invite Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim to place his palm on the pedestal to launch the conference video.
In a world shaped by uncertainty, internal auditors rise to adapt, assure, and advance. Explore 4 dynamic tracks. Discover the future of audit. Join leaders, experts, and changemakers at ACIIA 2025.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The ACIIA Conference 2025 has been officially launched by the Prime Minister of Malaysia. So thank you very much, Datuk Seri Anwar, for doing the honors. May I please request for Datuk Seri to continue remaining on stage as we continue now with the sponsors' appreciation. May I also invite Mr. Anthony Puliese, the President and CEO of IIA Incorporated, to join the group on stage for this segment. In appreciation to the sponsors of this conference for their very generous contribution towards this year's success, IIA Malaysia would now like to present them with a token of appreciation. Representatives, kindly come on stage as your names are called and do remain for a group photo. We wish to acknowledge our platinum sponsor, Diligent, our gold sponsor, Data Snipper, and our silver sponsor, Walters Kluwer. Our bronze sponsors include Excel Asia, Ernst & Young Consulting Sendirian Berhad, Sarawak Energy Berhad, and Quadetics. May I invite the group on stage to come together now for a group photo. And once again, our massive thanks to all the sponsors for your great support of this year's conference. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. You may return to your seats. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our Prime Minister to take his leave. So once again, IIA Malaysia extends its heartfelt appreciation to Young Ahmad Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim for officiating this year's opening ceremony. We now announce the departure of Young Ahmad Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, accompanied by the President and members of the Board of Governors, IIA Malaysia. May I invite everyone to stand and show their appreciation with a huge round of applause for the Prime Minister of Malaysia.
Keyakinan jadi ikutan, pendirian jiwa ihsan, nilai hormat keras diminda, daya cipta.
Tools that are needed to navigate this governance, resilience and transparency. We are particularly honoured to have the Prime Minister's address. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's give a very warm welcome to the welcome address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia. Yang Berhormat Datin Paduka Azharina Adham, Managing Director Securities Commission, Bursa Malaysia. Mr. Anthony Pugliese,
President. And engaging conference. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manoj.